There are so many great items to grab on this questline, including swords, heavy weapons, spells, and talismans, and here is how you get them all. Step 1, starting from the gravesite plain site of Grace, head north until you reach the castle front site of Grace. From this site of Grace, follow my path southeast past all of the NPCs and keep heading downhill. Eventually you'll reach a poison lake, just keep heading southeast through it and then follow my path until you reach the sealed spirit spring. Now, you can go find the rocks to knock over to unlock this, as it's located just up the path there, but it's even easier to use Mohg's Shackle, which will for some reason unseal the Spirit Spring for us. So just jump up the spring, then take the second one up to the Fort of Reprimand, and grab this site of Grace too. From here, jump over the wall to the north, you'll take a little fall damage. Now just follow my path to the northwest until we get to the MOORTH Highway South site of Grace. And now just follow my path to the MOORTH Ruins site of Grace, which we'll be needing later on, so it's worth just grabbing now. Step 2, from the Morph Ruin Site of Grace, head a short distance to the southeast to find a big hole in the ground. If you head around to the left side of the hole, you'll see an easy path heading down into the pit. Just be careful and take your time here. When we finally make it to the bottom, just follow my path southeast and head up the ladder. This will take you out of the ruins and over to the next site of grace, which is BONNY Village. We'll need to go grab a gesture, which you can use later to access a secret location. So from the BONNY Village Site of Grace, head east and follow my path. You'll have a broken wooden bridge to jump over and then head north. You'll eventually reach the gesture, which will be chilling on a body in front of a tree. Now we just need to head back on ourselves and then follow the path north until you reach the Church District High Road Site of Grace. Then just follow the path as it bends all the way around until you reach the cathedral. Now just head inside and grab that Site of Grace. Step 3, okay, we're inside the cathedral, so it's time to open the doors and go chat with the NPC sat in the chair. This is Ymir. He's going to give you the ruins map and a necklace. If you talk to him 2 more times, he'll be able to teach you some spells. Just make sure to ask about the glintstone sorcery and exhaust all of the dialogue he has to offer. Once you finish chatting with Ymir, spin around and you'll find an NPC leaning against the second pillar to your left. This is JOLAN. Just talk with her and exhaust her dialogue. You won't really get any conversation out of her this time around. And finally, just go speak to Ymir about JOLAN. Step 4, now it's time to set out and properly start Ymir's quest. Head to the castle front Site of Grace. And from here, move southeast and then follow my path as I start to drift to the east. Eventually you'll reach a cliff edge, but you can drop down safely. Once you get to the bottom, head for the cave to the south, which is being guarded by a big old flower. Just move southwest through the cave until you reach the other side. Then just before the Site of Grace on your right, keep an eye out for the revered Spirit Ash, also located on the right. Now just grab the Elak River Cave Site of Grace, and then follow my path south through the final parts of the cave. Just be careful when jumping over these platforms. Eventually, all of these stressful jumps, you'll make it to the Elak River downstream Site of Grace. Then from here, just push through to the south, following my path. When you reach the big fire buoy, just start turning west into the trees, and you'll see a path that leads to the Cerulean Coast Site of Grace. From here, you can grab the map for this region by heading south. Just be careful not to get hit by the ghost flame dragon that will swoop in as you get to the middle of this area. Then just south and up the hill after you pass the dragon, you'll find the map location, and then a little further up and to the left, you'll find one of Miquella's crosses and the Cerulean Coast Cross Site of Grace. From here, just head north and jump up these rocks. Head northwest and jump on this big stone structure. Turn to the northeast once you're on the structure and jump over the gap. Now just move north, drop from the cliff onto the other stone structure, and then all you need to do here is head east down the beach. Be sure to look out for those creepy hand spiders down here and just keep following the beach along to the east. Eventually, you'll reach a stone structure to your northeast. Just run up the steps, grab the item, and then move around to the Finger Ruins of Rhea Site of Grace. This next part is simple. Head down the very center of the ruins. You'll notice all the fingers are pointing towards the center, so you'll know exactly where you should be heading. Just be careful because the enemies here can shoot you with a spell that knocks you off of Torrent and locks your movement for a few seconds. They can then teleport to your location and attack you. These spells are pretty unavoidable, but if you move in between the stone fingers and use the hills to your advantage, you can avoid most of the incoming attacks. Once you get to the center of the Finger Ruins, you'll have to activate the Finger Bell in the middle. You'll get the Crimson Seed Talisman +1 for doing this. Step 5, now you've done the Finger Ruins here, it's time to head back to Ymir and the Cathedral and have a chat with him. He'll give you another map and a pretty overpowered talisman that boosts your spellcasting speed to the utmost, but at the detriment of your physical damage negation. He'll also have more spells for you to learn. Now just make sure to exhaust this dialogue and also speak to him about the nature of the world and exhaust that dialogue too. Now go chat with JOLAN. She'll reveal she's basically warming up to you, just exhaust her dialogue, and then we can move on. It's now time to head to the other Finger ruins to do exactly what we just did for some more great rewards and to get to the last part of this quest line. So head to the Church District High Road Site of Grace that we got earlier and head northwest up the road to the Shadow Keep's Church District. This is a flooded area, but don't worry, we're going to drain it pretty fast. So follow my path up through to the Church District until you reach the Church District entrance Site of Grace. Now before we drain the water, you'll want to grab the missable Great Ghost Glovewart located to the southwest. Just hop down to the rooftop in front of you, turn southwest and jump over the floating log. And then jump to the stone platforms. You'll have to jump between multiple stone platforms and logs until you reach the Glovewart up ahead. Now you can just fast travel back to the Church District entrance Site of Grace so we can drain this water. From here, drop down to the rooftop again, but this time head northwest. Jump off of the raised part here. And then just follow the broken wall up to a platform. And then we keep heading northwest. Once you hop over to the next roof, spin around and face southeast and start heading in this direction. Just be wary of the Fire Knight up here. You can get past him if you're fast enough and then jump onto the strut to the south at the end of the roof. Follow the strut up the roof. Carefully drop through the hole onto the stone platform and then move to the west. Now drop down this hole, turn to your northwest, and once you get through the doorway, turn to your immediate left and follow my path. Now just follow this path round to the ladder. Pull the switch to drain the water, and now we're going to go back on ourselves. Once you get back into the building, head north and follow the hallway and take your first left. Take the lift up, and then inside the building, take the room to the left, and you'll eventually reach the storehouse back section Site of Grace. From here, just head west and climb this ladder. Head to the east and climb the stairs, and then follow my path to the hole in the wall. Follow my path here until you reach the storehouse loft site of grace. Jump in the lift up ahead. Head northwest to this ladder. Once you're up the ladder, follow the path all the way around to the northwest end of the room. You can either fight or avoid the bats and the fire knight. Just drop down the platform below, trying not to get hit like I did. Now just follow my path to a lift. After that, follow my path again to another lift. This will take you to the Shadowkeep back gate site of grace. Just head into this room to the southeast, grab the Erdtree fragment, and now you can use the Oh Mother gesture we grabbed earlier near Bonny village. This will open up the secret path to the hinterland. Just grab the first site of grace up ahead. From here, it's an easy horse ride northeast to the next Finger Ruins. Just be wary of the two tree sentinels up ahead, especially as one will jump out at you from the right. You can fight them to get Marika's Blessings consumables, which will fully heal you. And you can also summon in JOLAN, the NPC from the cathedral here. Either way, whatever you choose to do, just head northeast to reach the Hinterland Bridge site of grace. And then head southeast to the Fingerstone Hill site of grace. From here, just head to the center of the ruins again and activate the hanging bell like before. The enemies are more aggressive this time, but once you get this done, you'll be rewarded with the Cerulean Seed Talisman +1. Now it's time to fast travel to the cathedral to chat with Ymir and Jolan. Step 6. Ymir will now give you the third and final map, but don't worry, this next part won't take as long as before. He'll also have the fleeting microcosm spell to teach you for 20k runes. This spell is very handy as it appears next to the enemy and explodes twice, causing AoE damage. Be sure to exhaust the dialogue with Ymir and make sure to discuss any extra bits of dialogue about the world. I didn't do this at first and the next part of the quest didn't trigger because he still had things to say. So be sure to exhaust every bit of dialogue he has. Now go do the same with Jolan. Now go sit at the cathedral site of grace, and as long as you exhausted both NPCs' full dialogue, Ymir won't be on his chair. Head over to it and interact with it. This will cause the chair to slide back, giving you access to a ladder. Slide down the ladder, head up the hill, you'll eventually be invaded by a knight. This knight turns out to be Jolan's sister. After defeating the invader, quickly head over to the northwest to grab yourself this cookbook before fast traveling back to the cathedral to chat with Jolan about her crazy sister.
No.
Just exhaust her dialogue and head back down that ladder. Now head up to the hill to the north and you'll find the final hanging bell, so just activate it for a fun surprise. This is the mother of fingers, and it's a bit of a tough fight. I found the two best builds for high damage were the trusty Terra Magica and Comet Azure build, and then a bleed build using Bloodhound's Fang. I use my Mimic to distract the mother of fingers as much as possible. Some people will claim that it's not the way you should do it, but just play the way you want and have fun with it. I'll have a video on easily defeating this boss pinned in the comments very soon. Step 7, now you've finally beaten that nightmare fuel of a boss fight. It's time to head back to the cathedral and interact with Ymir's chair for another lovely surprise.
What have you done? You've wounded Count.
So Jolan is pretty angry that you killed that big stack of fingers, but weirdly wasn't when you beat up her sister. Either way, it's time to give her the same treatment. Once you beat Jolan, it's time for Ymir to finally show his face. And now you've got to beat him up too. He's definitely the tougher of the two as he has some crazy finger magic, but a couple slaps with a heavy weapon and you'll have him beat. You'll be rewarded with Ymir's bell bearing, his weapon, his clothes, and his underwear, which was clearly what this was all about, right? Just me? Okay, we're not done yet. Rest at the site of grace, and then you'll find Jolan leaning against that same pillar on the ground. Talking to her will give you a difficult decision to make. You can either use the Iris of Grace on her, or the Iris of Occultation. If for whatever reason you don't have both of these, you might need to go get them. The Iris of Grace is here, and the Iris of Occultation is here. But before you run off to get them, let me tell you what each of these do. Using the Iris of Grace will give you a summon of Jolan, which can actually be doubled up to a summon of Jolan and her sister. I've seen a lot of people say that she's an incredibly powerful summon, especially when you have two of them running around, but I went with the Iris of Occultation, which gets you the Sword of Night. It's a cool sword with bleed build up with a very cool Ash of War that goes along with it. Whichever you choose, I'll quickly show you the location to get the boost to the Jolan summon. If you chose the sword, you'll want to follow this anyway because you'll get some great items here. So fast travel to the Hinterland site of grace, head to the southeast and follow my path up into the Shaman village. There's a small tree just as you enter the village that has an incredible healing incantation. Now if you move to the southwest here, you'll find a talisman by the tree, and it boosts holy damage negation by 22%. Now from this tree, head southeast, you'll find a cliff edge that you can follow down. Once you've reached the final ledge, you'll be able to jump from this ledge to the balcony of Rabbath's Rise. Inside, there are a few items. At the top floor, you'll find Jolan's sister Anna as a summon. If you interact with this after choosing the Sword of Night from Jolan, then you won't get anything here. But if you chose Jolan's summon, you'll be able to retrieve the Anna summon, and you can combine them as one summon called Jolan and Anna. And then you can change them back to separate summons whenever you feel like it. Now drop down to the next floor, you can find a bell bearing. And then dropping down to the next floor will take you to a chest that has a new cannon weapon inside. This cannon shoots magic heat-seeking bolts. The bell bearing can be used at the round table hold for the ability to purchase ammo for your new cannon. I know half of you watching this will be wondering how to get the full set of armor that Jolan and Anna wear, which is a whole different video in itself. So I'll pin that at the end of this video and in the comments. So that's the whole quest. Thanks for watching, subscribe if this helped, and drop in our Discord of 7,000 people if you need help with a boss or need a specific item.